When you think about turf grasses in Oklahoma, you're thinking about some kind of Bermuda grass. Common Bermuda, which is a relatively coarse-leaved plant but does very well, or one of the improved, finer-leaved Bermuda grasses like we have here. Now, Bermuda grass is an excellent lawn grass for Oklahoma. It's very heat tolerant, very drought resistant. It fills in very well, rapid growing, and if managed properly, can make a very nice, very dense, very attractive turf. One of its major disadvantages is that it's a warm season grass. It looks good during the warm season. As soon as frost hits, it turns brown. So it spends a good part of the year just being brown. But it is well adapted and does grow very well. Most of our lawn around the studio is in Bermuda now. However, we have a fairly good section in our orchard and small fruit plantings that's in tall fescue now. Now, tall fescue is probably the second choice of lawn grasses in Oklahoma, second most popular. It's a cool season grass, so it does well in the shade. So if you have a shady area where Bermuda grass does not grow, tall fescue is a good option to put in there. It will tolerate that shade very well. It will take full sun, like we have it in the orchard, if you give it enough supplemental irrigation through the summer. It doesn't like the heat very well, so you need to pamper it a little bit in the summer. But if you do give it that extra care, it will come through the heat with very little problem. Now, its really major advantage comes right about this time of year and on into the winter, because it will stay green through most of the year. This is in contrast to the Bermuda, so it takes a little more care, but you will get year-round green rather than just seasonal green if you use tall fescue. The variety we have in our orchard is K31. This is one of the older varieties. It's commonly available and the seed is relatively cheap, but you'll see its major disadvantage is the coarser leaves. There are several new and improved varieties of tall fescue that have a much finer leaf blade texture, making a much more nice looking lawn, a better looking lawn than the K31. The K31 is adequate for our purposes, but if you really want the best looking lawn, pay the extra money and get one of the finer leaved, improved varieties of the tall fescue. Now we want to show a couple of places on the studio grounds and talk about a few options for turf grasses that we're going to be putting in next spring and that you may want to think about for putting in around your yard. Those of you who have been following us while we've been developing our studio grounds here may remember this little rectangular section. A couple of years ago, Mike Kenna helped us establish a little piece of tall fescue lawn right in this little section, right back before the building was even finished. Now, it served our needs then, but right now it's just this square patch in the middle of the rest of our lawn. So we need to get rid of this, do something else with it. Behind it is a section of common Bermuda. It's just basically mowed pasture. We mow it, but it really needs to be leveled out. It needs to be improved into a real bona fide turf section. What we're going to do is take that tall fescue section, this back section, back to where the ground drops off between the trees and the trellis, and we're going to put it into zoysia grass. Now, zoysia grass is another turf grass that you may want to consider for your home lawn. It grows very much like Bermuda grass. It's a warm season grass, which means it's green during the summer, the warm season. Then it turns brown in the winter. It has a few advantages over Bermuda grass. It has better cold tolerance in the winter, and it also will tolerate a little bit more shade than Bermuda grass. And it has good wear resistance, traffic resistance. It won't wear out with foot traffic. Now, to do this, what we're going to do is this fall, we're going to spray this whole section of area with Roundup to kill out everything. You don't want a mixed turf, so we need to get rid of the Bermuda grass first. Now we need to do this fairly quickly because we're getting close to our first frost. As soon as that Bermuda grass dies, it won't absorb the Roundup, and so it won't kill. So we're really at the later part of when Roundup will be effective. Really would have been better to have done it back in September. Our next step will be probably to establish the zoysia grass. Since it is a warm season grass, this is a next spring project. We'll come in either with sod or with plugs, but that's a project you can watch us do next year. Now let's go look at our other large turfgrass project that we'll get to next spring. This next section is along the southern edge of our studio grounds. It's not a part of our grounds that you see very often. And if it is, if you do ever see it, it's generally just in the background. We don't use it very much. We don't want to put that much maintenance into it, but we need it to look good so that when it's in the background, it doesn't detract from the rest of the studio grounds. Right now, it's just in basically rough mowed pasture, common Bermuda, with a little bit of weeds in it. What we're going to put in this section is buffalo grass. Now, buffalo grass is another warm season grass. It's most adapted to western Oklahoma. It's a native prairie grass. It's very tough, very rugged, extremely winter hardy, and very drought tolerant. So it doesn't need to be watered during the summer in order to have it look good. It's also very slow growing, so that you don't need to mow it very often. So we're going to put it in buffalo grass back here so that it will stay looking good, but we can keep it looking good with a minimal amount of inputs. For those of you in central and western Oklahoma who have a lawn but don't want to put a lot of time or water into it, buffalo grass may be a good choice for you. We're going to use the Texoka variety. It's one of the few seed varieties, improved seed varieties of buffalo grass. And again, it's a warm season grass, so this will be a next spring project. We can't establish that until next spring. Again, we'll be killing out all the Bermuda and other weeds this fall so we don't have a mixed turf next year. But again, this is another project that you'll be seeing us do next year.